Second to last day of our 12-day trip to Andalucia we took this past May. The plan for this day was Ronda and Setenil de las Bodegas. We were doing this as a day trip from Malaga with our car that we rented. We set off in the morning and the drive is supposed to be around an hour and 20 minutes, but it definitely took us longer than that. Ronda is in a more remote area, so it's a one-lane highway to get there, and there were a lot of tour buses also headed there that naturally go much slower than the speed limit, so if you're planning a drive there, just keep that in mind. The nice thing about these smaller villages is that you can usually find free parking on the streets, and we were able to do just that with about a 15-minute walk into the main part of town. There's a covered street leading to that gorge and bridge area with a bunch of cute shops, cafes, and tapas restaurants. The main thing Ronda is known for is its incredible landscape. It's a cliffside town that is divided by an 120-meter deep gorge and brought together by the iconic Puente Nueve, and it's definitely impressive when you see it in person. We spent some time wandering around, enjoying the sights. There's a ton of miradors around every corner, so there's no shortage of incredible views to see. I will say we had a bit of mixed feelings about this town, but I feel like we also didn't give it a fair chance, and I'll give tips on what to do that will make it a worthwhile visit. We came to visit Ronda mainly for the hidden gem landscape aspect of it, but we didn't do too much planning of activities and kind of just left it up to chance when we got there. We weren't really interested in some of the other things Ronda was known for, such as the bullfighting scene, it being the birthplace of bullfighting. There was a lot of references to Hemingway as he spent a lot of time here and was passionate about bullfighting, and if you've ever read The Sun Also Rises, you can definitely picture this place in relation to it, so that was quite neat. Another thing that made our experience a little less enjoyable was the sheer amount of tourist groups that were present when we arrived close to noon. And you know, tourist groups are going to be present anywhere you go, but just given the fact that Ronda is such a small town, you really felt their presence even more than we had in some of the bigger cities, and it kind of took away from a lot of the beautiful aspects of this town. For example, it was hard to get a good view from the bridge and the miradors as there'd be group after group filing in for their chance at a spot to look and take pictures. We did find the Puente Viejo and the Jardines de Cuenca to be much quieter, however, so if you take some time to wander a bit off the beaten track, you can definitely find some more peaceful corners. So my recommendations would be plan to spend one night here if you really want to see this town. We had debated on spending one night here as part of our trip, but finally decided against it and opted for a day trip instead. I do think it's doable as a day trip, but I would plan to arrive very early in the morning so you can take advantage of those views without all the crowds, and then plan to see some of the many museums and Moorish sites in the afternoon that we didn't take advantage of. Spending a night here will make it a lot less tiring with the transport, and you'll be able to experience some of the hiking down the gorge and the bridge lit up at night, which I imagine is absolutely beautiful. If you're short on time for your trip and wondering if you'll be missing out by not going here, I have two suggestions for day trips you can take for Malaga instead that can make up for it. In our last video, so the day before this, we had taken a day trip to Frigiliana and Nerja, which Frigiliana specifically has an unbeatable charm in my opinion and similar sweeping landscapes. And tomorrow, so our next video, we went to Caminito del Rey, which is a cliffside hike through a gorge that in my opinion trumped just about every landscape we had seen on this trip so far. And both these towns and activities were fairly quiet and combined the elements you'll find here. I will say Ronda is definitely known for their food scene. For lunch, we had found this incredible tapas place that was in a home perched on the edge of the gorge. It had a small terrace some floors down that we had all to ourselves with beautiful views, and it was so cheap. Like seriously the cheapest place we had eaten at so far, and they had a lot of local dishes that we tried. I was finally able to try ajo blanco, which is a cold soup made from almonds, garlic, bread, sherry vinegar, and garnished with white grapes. It sounds gross, but it was actually so good and refreshing. I also had a plate of local cheeses from Ronda, which was also very unique and good. 25 minutes away from Ronda is Setenil de las Bodegas. It's also a pueblo blanco that is known for its cave houses because its streets are built into the cavities and rock of a canyon. It has two streets in particular that are completely covered by the rock bed of a cliff, which is really cool to experience walking through it. I will say if you're driving here, plan to park on the streets not too far up from those two main streets and not in the parking garage that's located in this town. We were really grateful we did this as the walk down is very steep and the streets are so hard to navigate. The roads are pretty narrow and on a steep incline, so driving is a bit tricky, and the further up you drive, the more you'll have to walk down and then walk back up after. It was probably the steepest town we had been to on the trip. The streets are basically positioned one on top of the other, built into the rock bed and wind around each other, so Google Maps had a really hard time telling us which direction to go, and we kind of got lost for a good 30 minutes until we finally found the two streets. But we got to the streets, got some ice cream here. The town is pretty quiet and there's really not a lot of tourists at all. The views of the towns from the road ledges as you're walking down are also really incredible, so that was a nice surprise as well. We made it back to Malaga around 3:30 and spent the evening there. We wandered around the historical center this time. There's a Roman Forum located at the base of the Alcazar where you can visit for free. It does close at 6 p.m., but it's situated open air onto the street, so you can still experience it even when it's closed. After that, we walked through Parque Malaga, through the beach area, and back into the port where we spent some time there. We called it in early as tomorrow's our last day in Spain, and we'd be waking up extra early for a morning hike at Caminito del Rey, so stay tuned for that.